I don't think I want Kiki Lane to play Athena anymore. I think we could maybe spare a less beloved actress for that. Boy, it would be mean if I gave an example, wouldn't it?
We're in a sanctuary. Athena would have had to let her in, but why would she do that?
I embarrassed my mother.
But I'm the one who sent the head to Olympus.
And I went along with it. Now she's angry.
Or I could keep fan casting Kiki Lane. I mean, it would be interesting to see her play a character who's just absolutely spiteful. I would actually, you know what? I still want Kiki Lane to be Athena. Bring me some Moral Grey. You're exhausted, listening for a voice that can't speak. Manico mio caro. That one's for the true fans. Your greetings and salutations, beautiful humans. This is the Amity Elf, and I know what you're thinking. The Amity Elf glasses today. Yeah, I decided to wear my glasses in this video. One of my aunts has told me that I've not been providing good glasses representation in past videos, so here we go. They're on. We pop these suckers on and I can see. This is one of the few videos on my channel where I can see while I'm making it. Ooh, I got a comment on my fanfiction. But yeah, so the Percy Jackson show, that's happening now. My last video on the subject was just over the casting, and not even the casting of everyone, the casting of the main trio. And now we've got episodes. As I'm recording this, episode 5 has just dropped like yesterday. Needless to say, I'm enjoying the show tremendously. Everyone in my circle who I've interacted with is enjoying the show tremendously. Everyone seems to have a few little notes, like a few little things that they would change if given the choice, but the overwhelming atmosphere that I have witnessed is one of great enjoyment and great analysis. Oh my gosh, the parallels between Medusa and Annabeth. It's really cool. It's not a wholly accurate adaptation. I find that because it stays true to the themes of the book so much, and because it stays true to the characters so much, I don't mind the deviations of plot or like narrative. I find that it feels true to the books. I didn't need the poodle scene. Poodle scene wasn't really what I was in it for. You want a scene where a person doesn't want to talk to an animal but is pressured to talk to an animal, watch Emperor's New Groove. But this video isn't about the entire show, although like once all the episodes are out, maybe I'll make a video about the entire show because I have a lot of thoughts. This video is specifically about Clarisse, which is cool because she is a like pretty minor character this season. Clarisse La Rue? Clarisse La Rue. Wait, Clarisse La Rue. I didn't Google it. I know that I looked down so it seemed as if I was about to Google it, but I figured it out in real time. Clarisse La Rue. I figured it out. I do have to Google it to make sure, because if I confidently say it's La Rue and then it's something else, I'm gonna be, it is La Rue. Okay, we're good. Everything's fine. And you may now be thinking, the Amity Elf, you could have edited that out. That's disingenuous. You think I'm some kind of a liar? You look at me and see Kokichiyoma from Danganronpa V3? This video has become more nonsense than I meant for it to be. Let's get back on track. For those who stumbled in here fully lost, let me just quickly clarify. The Percy Jackson series is a series of books and also a little bit movies and one musical, but it's a series about a kid who is the son of Poseidon, the god of the ocean, and he goes to a camp that's full of other children of gods and has adventures. That's what it's about. It has had books out for many years now. It has had movies out for many years now. The show is quite new. The show began to be aired in December of last year. It is now January as I film this. A little bit of background just to kind of establish a timeline here. According to Wikipedia, Rick Riordan initially pitched the Percy Jackson TV adaptation, or Disney Plus adaptation, in December of 2019. By May 2020, the show was actually happening and in the works. And it was in 2021 that they started looking for directors and cast and all of that stuff. June of 2022, it was 2022, not 2021, is when we got the casting for Clarisse. The character of Clarisse in the Percy Jackson show is portrayed by Dior Goodjohn.
Revenge is more fun.
The actress does not have a Wikipedia page. She has had roles before on Glee and on Raven's Home. But before we get into the nature of the casting, first let's talk about the character of Clarisse. In the first book of the Percy Jackson series, Clarisse La Rue exists pretty much just to bully Percy. Through her bullying, we discover Percy's powers and also him being bullied as a vehicle by which the reader can feel sympathy for him. But as far as like sheer narrative value, in the first book, her main thing is she's a daughter of Ares, the god of war. The fact that a daughter of Ares is immediately antagonistic towards Percy kind of establishes his relationship with Ares early on, and that's going to be important for later. The fact that she does bully him and he does fight back is what reveals that he's a son of Poseidon and is what enables Annabeth to win Capture the Flag that one time. Because Annabeth is a battle strategist, she's able to predict what Clarisse is going to do in response to her vendetta against Percy and use it against her to win Capture the Flag. So Clarisse is there to establish Percy's credentials to the camp, but she's also there to establish Annabeth's credentials to the reader. That is her narrative purpose in this story. She doesn't really have all that much of an internal life yet. She doesn't really have relationships yet. That's kind of her main thing right now, is that she establishes Percy's credentials to the camp, establishes Annabeth's credentials to the reader, and establishes how we feel about Aries before we meet Aries. As far as physical description goes, here's how she is described in the book. Cabin number 5, the Aries cabin, was bright red, a real nasty paint job as if the color had been splashed on with buckets and fists. The roof was lined with barbed wire. A stuffed wild boar's head hung over the doorway, and its eyes seemed to follow me. Inside, I could see a bunch of mean-looking kids, both girls and boys, arm wrestling and arguing with each other while rock music blared. The loudest was a girl maybe 13 or 14. She wore a size XXL Camp Half-Blood t-shirt under a camouflage jacket. She zeroed in on me and gave me an evil sneer. She reminded me of Nancy Bobofit, who was a bully from earlier in the story. Though the camper girl was much bigger and tougher looking, and her hair was long and stringy, and brown instead of red. Okay, so what we know about Clarisse's physical appearance as of now is as follows. She is big, she is tough looking, she has brown hair. A little bit later, we get this description. I looked over. The big girl from the ugly red cabin was sauntering toward us. She had 3 other girls behind her, all big and ugly and mean-looking like her, all wearing camo jackets. Okay, so we added ugly to the party. Cool. So we know that she's big, we know that she's mean-looking, we know that she's tough-looking, we know she has brown hair, and she has been described as ugly. Initial thoughts are, I do think our first descriptions of Clarisse may be a bit fat-phobic, like might kind of have a hint of fat phobia going on. The fact that it's like, she's big, she looks mean, she looks ugly. I think that the fact that her bigness is put into the conversation alongside those things is maybe not ideal. It's left up to the reader's interpretation whether he means big as in fat or big as in muscular. My read on it when I was a kid was always that she was kind of both. I was visualizing someone kind of, stocky in build. And in later books, she gets more of a personality beyond like not liking Percy. She has friends, she has a boyfriend, she has a girl who's a close friend of hers who people think she should maybe be in a relationship with. More on that later though, we're gonna get to that later. So we get this description of Clarisse. It doesn't mention race pretty much at all, but there is a strong chance that later books will be like, she blushed pink, or she blanched at the sight, or something of the sort. Or it could just be the fact that white is taken as the default in a lot of stuff, but that's not the point really. That's not really, listen, we already had the race lifting video about Annabeth. When I heard tell of this casting, I had a different reaction than I did to the casting of Annabeth, and it was kind of a, oh, so they made the bully a brown girl. I wasn't mad, I was just kind of fascinated of like, oh. The casting of Annabeth as a black girl came before the casting of Clarisse as a person of color, so I was already primed to be fine with most things. Any concern I might have had if it was, oh, these are our white protagonists and this is our brown girl who bullies them, it was averted by making Annabeth and Grover both people of color. If there is a diverse cast, then there's no problem with putting people of color in places of antagonism. That's fine. So like the momentary pause that I had with like, oh, the brown girl's the bully, I don't know about that. It was like 1 second long, and then I was like, it's fine. It's probably fine. This is gonna be fine. The next thing that came to mind was after kind of interacting with other fans on the subject of the casting of Clarisse, because some people on Tumblr next brought up how in Sea of Monsters, the second book in the series, Clarisse commands a ship full of Confederate soldiers. The reason this happens is because she's on a quest for her dad, Ares, and one of Ares' things is that he has control over armies that lost. The dead spirits of armies who lost their wars are in service to Ares, so Clarisse makes use of that for her quest. And I don't know if anyone really thought much about that scene before they made Clarisse a person of color. Once she was a person of color, people were like, huh, that puts that into a new context, doesn't it? I liked it. Like right away I was like, hold on, that could be pretty awesome. Like she could straight up bully them, and that would be pretty interesting to just have her like being ruthlessly mean to a bunch of people who are in her employ, but we don't feel bad for them because like, and here's a problem that I ran into when I was writing my Twilight fan fiction. People who aren't from America maybe don't always have a ton of context about the Confederacy. The reason it's a thing is because the Confederacy was the side of the Civil War that was fighting to keep slavery of black people. There are those in America who say that they were fighting for states' rights, to which there are those who reply, yeah, the states' rights to keep having slavery of black people. And also slavery was explicitly mentioned in the Confederacy's constitution, as I recall. I'm not a history professor. If you feel differently, I'm not gonna flunk you. We don't know each other. I'm just gonna judge you personally in my own mind. But yeah, so the dynamic there of brown girl commanding a ship full of people who were pro-slavery. Maybe we get a few moments where the protagonists are like, hey Clarisse, we're not on your side. And then the Confederates are like, yeah, and they're like, we're not on your side either, obviously. Maybe they won't play with it. Maybe like I could definitely see them making the decision of like, hey, let's not even have that scene. Let's make it a different losing side of the war. Let's go with, hey, what was that war that you were talking about, Grover? Lobster War? Yeah, whoever lost the Lobster War. But that was just a matter of race. The actress they cast for Clarisse is also very slim, and she's very conventionally attractive. On one hand, I think that the way the book handled her body shape wasn't ideal. I think that the whole narrative of like, she's fat, and she's ugly, and she's mean, like I think that it really plays into this archetype of like the fat bully. Statistics say that fat people are more often bullied than bullies. It's not that kind imagery. But in later books, she has more nuance to her. She has more positive relationships. We see her as a human being. After the first book, Clarisse isn't anyone's favorite character. No one's like, hey, but how about that girl who almost gave a swirly to the protagonist that one time? Even if you like characters who are mean, she doesn't do enough stuff for her to be your favorite character in the first book. But after a few more books where she does cool things and she is sad about stuff and she's happy about stuff, once you've been with her for longer, she could conceivably be someone's favorite character. And if someone has the body shape of Clarisse and Clarisse is their favorite character, maybe it's not doing them a kindness to strip away the elements of body diversity that she does have. And this has been consistent in every adaptation of Percy Jackson. In the Sea of Monsters movie, Clarisse is cast as Leven Rambin.
It is pronounced Leven Rambin, and I should have guessed that.
She was in The Hunger Games as Glimmer. She's very thin. She's very pretty. The fact that she played Glimmer in The Hunger Games tells you she's very pretty, because Glimmer's only thing was being pretty and being bad at archery. And also, like, dying by wasps. Second time she's adapted is the Percy Jackson Lightning Thief musical, which I saw off Broadway. I was there. I saw George Salazar. I saw Chris One second, I'm gonna actually look up the name of the Clarisse actress though before I get lost in it. Sarah Beth Pfeiffer. She was played by Sarah Beth Pfeiffer in the Lightning Thief musical. She's not stocky, she's not big, but we are gonna circle back to that aspect of it a little bit later when I talk about my next thing. And now here we have another slim actress playing Clarisse. It just seems like we've never depicted Clarisse as stocky or fat. This is something that happens a lot. Divorcing it from the valid reasons they might have thought they needed to do this is something that happens a lot, is that thin actors get cast as fat characters, and either they just jettison the fat aspect entirely, or they put the thin actor in a fat suit. Instead of casting someone who is fat, they're like, no, we're gonna get someone thin, and we're gonna put some stuffing on them. And like, why? For what? The Matilda musical movie on Netflix did that with two different characters. Like, the Trunchbull was played by Emma Thompson, but in a fat suit, and Bruce Bogtrotter was played by a thin boy in a fat suit. The kid did a good job, but how many roles are there for fat kids that get to sing a whole little riff? I think I've pretty much presented both sides of that one. We don't want to have harmful imagery of fat people, but also how many roles are there for fat people? I'm not going to tell you how to feel about it. I will take a little bit of time aside to say that Dior's performance is really good. Like, she's really good as Clarisse. She's very enjoyable. She's very engaging. You really get the sense of her wanting to beat this kid up. I love that. Kind of zooming out, where do we go from here as far as Clarisse? So I have an idea. So in the books, I mentioned that Clarisse has one boyfriend and she has one friend who she's very close with, who a lot of people think she should date. The latter is named Silena Beauregarde. Silena Beauregarde is a daughter of Aphrodite. She is a very complex character. I'm not going to spoil the books. Daughters of Aphrodite are very pretty. They're very, like, charming. People like Daughters of Aphrodite a lot. Well, I guess people don't like Drew, but that's like a whole other can of worms where people say that it was kind of anti-Asian to portray her that way, but that's not what the video's about. My thought is they should cast Silena as someone who is fat. If their reasoning for making Clarisse thin was to avoid negative imagery of fat people, it could be very cool to have Silena Beauregarde, who is fat and who is very beautiful, who everyone likes, who has a boyfriend, who has a friend, who has a deep character. In the Lightning Thief musical, I guess there's different casts for Silena, but in the production that I saw and in the production that the soundtrack was recorded of, she's played by an actress who is not thin, the same actress who played Percy's mom, and Charon the boatman, the guy who boats you across the river Styx, Charon, is also played by her. And I think that's cool. That's what I want out of future casting. If you remember in my previous Percy Jackson video, I mentioned that I was discussing the casting of Chiron with a friend who's a Percy Jackson fan. I was discussing this matter with that same friend. Clarisse won me over. I wasn't sure about casting someone thin, etc., but I enjoy the sadism she brings to the role. I feel like we need more thicker set roles for girls, but it would be great if Silena got to be thick set. Oh, don't get me started on Clarisse. I thought we were gonna get a fat butch lesbian and I was so excited. But hey, the sadistic, conventionally attractive popular girl thing is also a take I can respect. And to my point about Silena, she replied, yeah, maybe they'll let her be fat. I hope so, because we don't get a lot of fat it girls in movies and TV shows, and I think because it's a tween YA show, they have a perfect opportunity to normalize it and let some kids see themselves as cool and popular and confident and fat, because it happens IRL all the time, so I don't know what the problem is. The problem is fat phobia, but that goes without saying. And then I said, oh, I think I might make a video about this because my mind is whirring with my mind is whirring with possibilities. Okay, the Amity Elf, pipe down. But back to the Silena thing, because my mind is whirring with possibilities. There are a few depictions of beautiful fat women in media, or beautiful fat girls in media. One caveat to that I've seen mentioned in other YouTube videos before, this girl is often required to perform femininity and like high fashion and lots of makeup in a way that is not often required of equivalent character types that are played by thin actresses. When Homegirl from Euphoria has her glow up, she is like decked out in like beautiful clothes. She's like got all the makeup on. She is done up. The conceit here is the fat character should be as allowed to be beautiful and to be seen as beautiful when she's dressed down as the equivalent non-fat characters. And casting a fat actress to play Silena would allow this because Selena's gonna be wearing a Camp Half-Blood t-shirt. She's gonna be like training. She's gonna be fighting. She's gonna be doing all the things a demigod does in the clothes a demigod wears to do it. And she's gonna be drop dead gorgeous to everyone. And that's great. Since Disney likes to kind of use the same actors for stuff, I could see them maybe pulling in Homegirl from High School Musical, the musical, the series. I didn't actually watch High School Musical, the musical, the series, but I did see clips of it in reviews. Like I saw Jarvis Johnson's video about it, and I saw pretty much its multiple videos about it. I believe that her name is Ciara Renee, and I'm gonna look that up now because if I'm right, I'm gonna be very happy with myself. Nope, I'm thinking of a different human. I'm thinking I think, okay, here's the thing. Ciara Renee played Elsa on Broadway, and I enjoyed her performance of Elsa, and I conflated it with High School Musical, the musical, the series Elsa thing. Okay, who is Dara Renee? Wait, is that Dara Renee? That's why I got them conflated, is because they have really similar names. So they have, wait, are they related? She did stunts on Blackish, or, oh, maybe that's a character name. I was gonna say, what stunts did she do on Blackish? Sorry, focusing. Okay, her Wikipedia page does not mention whether she's related to Ciara Renee, but that's wild that like two different actresses who look a little bit alike both played Elsa for a Disney thing. Well, you can't play Elsa for a non-Disney thing because Elsa is Disney. She's owned by Disney. She belongs to Disney. She's in Disney's shackles. Man, Dara Renee and Ciara Renee. They've got to be related, right? Okay, hold on. I do have to check that. Looks like Ciara Renee's last name is Harper. Ciara Renee Harper. So Renee is her middle name. Okay, so it's Ciara Renee Harper and Dara Renee. Now, and also it looks like the accent is on a different E, like on Dara Renee. Yeah, on Dara Renee, the accent is on the last E, and on Ciara Renee, it's on the middle E. Huh. I hope you enjoyed that journey I just took us all on. Dara Renee is beautiful. She would make a good... Wait, how old is she? Okay, Wikipedia doesn't want to tell me how old she is. The actress who's playing Clarisse is currently 17. Speaking of looking up Dior Goodjohn, if you type Dior Goodjohn race or Dior Goodjohn ethnicity into a search engine, it'll more likely than not direct you to one of those articles that are like, celebrity name, race, age, height, and stuff, you know those articles. And they say some wacky stuff on those. They refuse to just admit that they don't know what her race is, so they say stuff like, oh, her mixed race heritage really contributes to her, like they just try to make it all flowery, and it's just like, just say you don't know. Just say you don't know what race she is. Honestly, I only looked it up for this video. I didn't want to go in there saying that she's black and have it be like, she's not black. But also, if she is black, then people might not like it if I say person of color the whole time. There are those who would feel poorly towards that. I think I've covered just about everything. I covered the book description of Clarisse, I covered the race of the character, the body shape of the character, the potential Silena thing that I think they could get going. We're enjoying the show, right? Like, we're all enjoying the show. They nailed the characters of Percy, Annabeth, and Grover. Like, the direction they're taking Grover is really interesting and cool. Like, I like him manipulating Aries. I saw a Tumblr post by someone saying that when they read the books, it was hard to suspend their disbelief in the matter of Grover being able to trick a Cyclops for days on end into thinking that he's gonna marry him. But having seen the show, this Grover seems like he could totally trick a Cyclops for days on end. And yeah, I completely agree, actually. I didn't have particular opinions on Grover's ability to do that. I was willing to take the explanation of like, the Cyclops can't really see that well and I'm wearing a dress. Like, I was willing to take that as at face value, but this Grover for sure can pull it off. Like, I honestly am not even worried about him. He can handle it. If he has to, well, no, I was gonna say if he has to marry a Cyclops, he'll do it, but that sounds like a lot. That's too much. But yeah, the people who were worried that Leah's performance as Annabeth wasn't gonna be good, they owe me $10, I'll say. That's just, you know, I'm not the wronged party here. I'm just an opportunist, so I'm just gonna say $10. People are kind of weird about Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I feel like I missed out on what their reasoning was. At the very least, they shouldn't be insulting his appearance as much as they are. Like, a lot of people are like talking crap about his appearance, and I think that's really mean. Like, regardless of what's up with him, you should not be doing that. Because like I said in the Harry Potter video, making up fake things to be mad about takes away attention from whatever you're actually mad about. So if you're mad about a thing he believes or said, then be mad about that. Don't then decide also that you think his face is ugly, because there's other people who look like Lin-Manuel Miranda. Like, I was at an airport and I saw a guy who looked a lot like Lin-Manuel Miranda, and he was attractive, he was pretty, he was a good looking guy. The first scene of him as Hermes, honestly, is a Lin-Manuel Miranda about to be on my screen? And it slowly panned up and I'm like, is a Lin-Manuel Miranda about to be on my screen? And he was! Boy, you know how earlier I said, I think I've covered all the bases, and then I started like rambling about the show. The show's really good though, I'm enjoying it quite a bit. They're leaning very Percabeth in the show. Like, they're kind of giving us Percabeth stuff pretty early on. I think that it's gonna pay off when we have to deal with the thing that's gonna be revealed in the last episode of this season. Probably, like, that's probably where it's gonna be revealed. When we have to deal with that, I think that that is going to introduce some strife between Percy and Annabeth, possibly. And when that does happen, I think it's gonna be very interesting to see, because they've gotten so close on this quest. And also, it's great to see the way that they've influenced each other's characters already. The way, like, it's, sorry, I need to stop. I'm gonna talk about the show when I make a video about the show. This is about specifically Clarisse's casting and also Silena for later. But anyway, thank you for watching this long. Have a great day. Enjoy the rustling of the wind in the trees. Crush a flower between your fingers and smell the aroma it produces. Do take out your laundry. Don't forget that. Just don't like leave it wet in the washer, because then, you know, you have to wash it again. Paint something. Paint yourself a little picture. And have a good day.